Today, it's my privilege to present the second runner-up Walter Duranty Award to Andrew Sullivan, the writer and blogger for Newsweek and the Daily Beast. Trying to catch up, I read his columns, his blogs today, of course, and I just learned today that he literally just moved to New York and was complaining about his cable service and his cell phone reception. So I assumed that he just moved to New York, was to be here tonight, but evidently he didn't make it. I don't see him here anyway. He is worthy of the award for three specific reasons and themes that occur regularly in his writing. The first is his brave, solitary fight on what he considers one of the most horrendous crimes committed against human beings, in this case, on male babies. I refer, of course, to what Sullivan calls, quote, genital mutilation, or as most of us refer to it, as circumcision. In the past few weeks, he has returned in quite a few columns to the theme. In the face of medical evidence and major scientific studies that prove the worthiness and health benefits of circumcision, Sullivan explains why the practice developed in the first place. Quote, foreskins are much harder to keep clean in dusty and arid places like deserts, unquote. And Judaism and Islam, the two religions that practice circumcision, were, he says, desert religions. And primitive religious belief thus led humanity to institute a barbaric practice that deprives children of what human evolution wrought, the foreskin, and to remove it without the baby's permission. Parents have thus been engaged, he writes, in mutilation of their own sons without giving it a single moment's pause. The second reason Andrew Sullivan deserves the prize is for his never-ending and relentless crusade to prove that Sarah Palin was not the mother of her Down syndrome baby, Trig. As he wrote just 1 year ago, the failure of the media to expose this truth is as important, quote, as its failure to challenge the facts about the rush to war against Iraq, unquote. Going on to acknowledge that he does not actually know who the mother is, or indeed whether or not Sarah Palin might be Trig's mother, he then writes, quote, if Palin has lied about this, it is the most staggering, appalling deception in the history of American politics, unquote. Considering that the list of deceptions and cover-ups in most observers' lexicon include events like Watergate or the failure of the Roosevelt administration to let the truth be known about Soviet responsibility for the massacre of Polish officers at Katyn, Andrew Sullivan's conception of what allows one to describe Palin's would-be lie in such dramatic terms simply defies the imagination. As he confesses, only Joe McGinnis seems to give a damn. As most of us know, McGinnis's book on Palin was a total, complete bomb. McGinnis had no revelations in it of any worth, and every reviewer trashed it for numerous good reasons. One of those is that McGinnis revealed himself to be Sullivan's only supporter and fellow Trig birther, thereby ending any credibility McGinnis was thought to have. Third, Sullivan deserves the award for both being Barack Obama's greatest cheerleader, a stance appreciated by the president, who told the press he regularly reads Sullivan's blogs. Only once was Sullivan critical of the president, when after his recent speech to the UN, Sullivan complained that the president appeared to be supportive of Israel because of an apparent threat to its existence from Iran. After all, Sullivan wrote, quote, there is only one nuclear power in the Middle East, and it has launched several preemptive wars on its neighbors near and far, unquote. If you have any doubts about what Sullivan thinks of Israel, his answer came in a column only written 3 days ago. Quote, we give the Israelis everything they ask for and they give the United States nothing in return. In fact, they have operated as a foe, not a friend, greeting Obama with a Gaza assault, deliberately destroying Obama's Cairo outreach to the Arab Muslim world with its settlement policy, and confirming every conspiracy theorist in the Middle East, unquote. With Benjamin Netanyahu as prime minister, he concludes, quote, Israel is not our ally, unquote. Anyone wanting evidence for how much Andrew Sullivan is outside the consensus about the special relationship between the United States and Israel has to look no further than these columns. Finally, we must also cite Sullivan's very recent over-the-top cover story for Newsweek on Barack Obama. In his eyes, the president is described as a conciliator of the center, willing to work with the Republicans, but foiled only by the right-wing Republicans who were bent only on Obama's destruction. He does not ever refer to Bob Woodward's new findings, in which Woodward, in his book, reveals an Obama as a chief executive who eschewed cooperation across the aisle and sought instead to implement an unpopular health care program without any Republican support. Reading Sullivan's words, our PJ Media colleague Richard Fernandez commented that Sullivan's paragraphs, quote, are destined for greatness. It leaves one slack-jawed, unable to credit the words on the page. You have to read him twice to make sure you aren't hallucinating, unquote. Watching the first presidential debates, Andrew Sullivan blogged, Romney has taken charge, even as Obama has spoken more, managing to make the issue one of the status quo versus dynamic change. Romney, he complained, is kicking the president's ass. As for his closing statement, Sullivan called it effing sad, confused, and lame. Obama, he concluded, may have even lost the election tonight, unquote. And yesterday, as most of you undoubtedly know already, Sullivan went completely mad on one of his most quoted rants in recent years. He wrote the following, referring to the latest polls showing that Romney was even ahead among women. Quote, seriously, has that kind of swing ever happened so late in a campaign? Has any candidate lost 18 points among women in one night ever? And we are told that when Obama left the stage that night, he was feeling good. That's terrifying. On every single issue, Obama has instantly plummeted into near oblivion, unquote. He went on to complain about Obama's arrogance, his unwillingness to listen to people who were giving him good advice, and so forth. Actually, I don't think if Obama read these recent columns yesterday, he might not be reading Andrew Sullivan very much anymore. Hence, if Romney wins the election, and now that, of course, seems to be a possibility, Andrew Sullivan's worst nightmare would come true. And if that occurs, Andrew Sullivan would then win an award that will cause him even more discomfort than the one he is receiving tonight. I hope, as I'm sure many of you do, that the morning after Election Day, Sullivan receives news of this far more important prize than the Walter Duranty Award we are giving him now. So if he was here, let me hold up for the videotape people, or video people. Here is Andrew Sullivan's award, and I'm sorry he has not appeared as yet. This will be mailed to him at the Newsweek Daily Beast address, and I'm sure the old post office will give him better service than his poor cell reception.